Hey everyone, Lauren here from Building Bitcoin Wealth Strategies, and I want to go over the recent interview on CNBC with the SEC Chairman Jay Clayton and just break down what he's saying about securities and cryptocurrency. So, what I've done is I made up this document, and I did that so we're going to watch the interview and discuss back and forth, but I made this up so that way you can pause the video at times, and if you want to write down the definition to each of these things or whatever, just so there's a way for you to go back and take a quick look at it. The reason I'm doing it is I find that people have a tendency of using three terms interchangeably, and they're very, very different things. That's cryptocurrency, ICO, and altcoins. Why it's important that they're not just mistakenly used is because some of those fall into what is called a security and others don't. Here in the United States, it's very important to know if you're investing in a security or not. Reason being, there's qualifications that have to be met to be allowed to invest in a security. So we're going to discuss all that here. We're going to unpackage it, and we're going to go back and forth and listen to the video as well. So let's start with the document. I just went over a few things here. So cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, are becoming increasingly more mainstream every day. But the terminology that surrounds them can be confusing even to seasoned crypto veterans, let alone newcomers. 2009 was the inception of Bitcoin and was the first decentralized cryptocurrency in the world. Here's a little bit of facts about that. According to CoinMarketCap, there's almost 1,500 cryptocurrencies, and again, that's since 2009. The daily trading volume exceeds $30 billion on a regular basis, and the total market capitalization of the crypto market is over $700 billion. To understand how we got to where we are today and what the difference between ICO tokens and cryptocurrency coins is, we need to start from the basics. So, what is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency can be defined as a medium of exchange that uses cryptography to secure its transactions. So we all know what currency is. Currency would be things like the yen or the dollar, things like that. It's something that we trade for a product or a service. So cryptocurrency coins and tokens, while there were other mediums of exchange that used cryptography to secure transactions before 2009, Bitcoin was the first one to also be decentralized, meaning that it's not controlled by any single central authority. This is exactly why the banks don't like it, because it's decentralized. It's also why the government isn't so fond of it. This is where the term blockchain comes in. The decentralized nature of Bitcoin comes from its use of the blockchain technology, which is a distributed public ledger that records Bitcoin transactions in a growing list of records called blocks. Each block of transactions is cryptographically linked to the previous block, making blockchains resistant to data modification. So let's stop there for a second. We're going to go over to the video and see what Jay Clayton is saying in respect to specifically cryptocurrency.
So there's a lot in that area. Let me start with the technology, distributed ledger technology. Incredible promise. It can drive efficiencies not only in the financial markets, but in a lot of markets. Fine. Two areas in the financial markets where distributed ledger technology has come to the fore. Cryptocurrencies. These are replacements for sovereign currencies, replace the dollar, the yen, the euro with Bitcoin. That type of currency is not a security.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. So if you heard what he said, Bitcoin cryptocurrencies can be a replacement for things like the yen, the euro, and the dollar, and they are not a security. So, we know how he feels about cryptocurrency. So let's go back over here now and look at ICO tokens. An ICO is an unregulated means by which funds are raised for a new cryptocurrency venture. An initial coin offering, an ICO, is used by startups to bypass the rigorous and regulated capital raising process required by venture capitalists or banks. It's similar to an initial public offering, an IPO, or stock market launch, which is a type of public offering which shares of a company are sold to institutional investors. Now, the reason I point out institutional investors is because that's where we need to look into who's allowed to invest in a security and who isn't. Basically, big money can invest in securities, whether it's companies, large companies, institutional investors. You have to, one of the many qualifications to be considered somebody that can invest in a security is that you have to have $1 million worth of net worth. Okay, so there's a lot of controversy about that. There's people that think that that it shouldn't be that way, that others should be able to, and that we shouldn't have all this regulation. And there's others that agree that we need regulation. I fall into the category where I think we do need some regulation. Now, I'm not saying that I think we need regulation because the government should be able to decide whether or not you should be able to invest in something. I don't think that you should have to have some of the qualifications that they talk about to be able to invest in a security. I don't think that's necessary. I don't agree with that part of it. But I do see where, especially in 2017, I mean, that was the age of fake ICOs. And there were people coming in and making up these fake ICOs, and people would give them their Bitcoin, and they would take off with it. Excuse me, my screen went out there. They would take off with it. There was no project behind it, and they didn't have a plan of doing it. It was strictly to steal from people. So the regulations will help with that. But I guess all of that can be done for another video. But I want in this video for you to understand that an ICO is again, it's exactly the same as an IPO for the stock market, and it is institutional investors that invest in ICOs and are allowed to invest in ICOs. With an ICO, tokens are sold to early backers of the project in exchange for legal tender or other cryptocurrencies, usually Ethereum or Bitcoin. Most ICO tokens don't exist on a separate blockchain. Instead, startups take advantage of the blockchain technology to build their own projects and dApps, decentralized applications, through smart contracts on Ethereum's blockchain. So what I want to do now is I want to go back over to Jay Clayton and listen to what he has to say specifically about ICOs.
Let me turn to what's a security. A token, a digital asset, where I give you my money and you go off and make a venture. You have some company you want to start or something you want, and in return for me giving you my money, you say, you know what, I'm going to give you a return. Or you can get a return in the secondary market by selling your token to somebody. That is a security, and we regulate that. We regulate the offering of that security, and we regulate the trading of that security. And that's our job, and we've been doing it for a long time.
So you're saying the classic definition of security, you invest in a common enterprise with an expectation of profit. You're saying the way you look at most ICOs, they are securities.
Correct.
Are you planning now to make a clear statement on that? Because there seems to be a lot of confusion about whether anybody is going to get approved or not.
Bob, I hope I just did. If it's a security, we're regulating it. And let me just, we've been doing this for a long time, and we've built a $19 trillion economy, a securities market that's the envy of the world, following these rules. If you have an ICO or a stock and you want to sell it in a private placement, follow the private placement rules. There's no secondary trading. You know, you have to do that. If you want to do an IPO with a token, come see us. File financial statements, file disclosure, take the responsibility our laws require, and we're happy to help you do that public offering.
You seem to be saying that the SEC is not going to be changing the definition of a security just to suit the ICO community. Is that right?
I'm certainly not going to support that.
Okay.
Okay. So, obviously, after listening to that, he's saying the question was, do you see that most are? He's saying yes. Yeah. So, I would assume any ICO is going to fall into, in my opinion, I would assume any ICO at this point is going to be considered a security. So, cryptocurrency is not a security. ICOs are considered a security. Now let's look at altcoins. Apart from cryptocurrency coins that have been derived directly from Bitcoin, there are also altcoins. An altcoin is an alternative blockchain project that exists in addition to Bitcoin and its blockchain. The best known altcoin is Ethereum, because Ethereum's purpose isn't to serve as a means of exchange. It doesn't issue any cryptocurrency coins. Instead, Ethereum issues value tokens called Ether. Compared to cryptocurrency coins, tokens offer wider functionality, often being used to access various features of the platform that provides them. In the case of Ethereum, Ether is used to pay for transaction fees and services on the Ethereum network. I've highlighted this out, because tokens hold value, they can also be used the same way as single-purpose cryptocurrency coins can to purchase goods and services. So, in summary, cryptocurrency coins are medium of exchange that are cryptography to secure transactions. Value tokens are used by blockchain-based projects that don't strive to serve as digital currency for a multitude of different purposes. So that's important. It's doesn't have there's a more narrow field when it comes to that. You're not going to use it like, for instance, the dollar you can use to buy anything. So think of it like a bus token. That's the best scenario I could come up with. Think of it like a bus token. It pays for the specific type of transaction. You can take that token and you can go and you can give it at the bus, and you can take a bus. You can't use that token, and I spelled purchase wrong there, so I'm going to correct it because that's going to make me crazy if I leave that on there. You can't use it to purchase a cup of coffee. So again, you can purchase something, but it narrows the field of what you can purchase with it. Okay? ICO tokens are issued during a crowd sale, and they depend on another platform such as Ethereum. So let's go back and finish up listening to Jay Clayton on this.
Okay. Let me move on. What about altcoins? We have discussed Bitcoin, but there are other altcoins out there. There is Ether, for example. There is Ripple. Is Ether a security?
So, Bob, I'm not going to comment on specific crypto assets and whether they are a security or are not a security, but you captured the definition very well. Now, am I giving you my money for you to go off in a venture, or I'm relying on your efforts and the efforts of your colleagues?
But you understand there are lawsuits, I'm sure you know, right now, for example, over Ripple, about whether it is or is not actually a security as part partly one of the issues here, and obviously how the SEC feels is very important.
No, we are not going to do any violence to the traditional definition of a security, which has worked well for a long time, and I believe will continue to work well.
Is it possible the SEC might say these were securities at one time and no longer are because they're not centrally controlled, for example?
Look, that's a question that is out there, and will be answered in the specific facts and circumstances. But we've been doing this a long time, and there's no need to change our fundamental approach.
Let me move on.
Okay, so he doesn't quite answer that to the extent that he did the other two. So here's my take on it. We know cryptocurrencies, he's saying, are not a security. We heard him say that ICOs are a security. From there, you've got to kind of listen to it, I guess, and make your own opinion on how he feels about altcoins. My opinion is an altcoin is not a security. Now, this is not financial advice. This is my opinion. Take it as a grain of salt. But I feel like after listening to that, after looking at the definition, after knowing that you can purchase certain things with altcoins, my take on it is that it's not a security, and I think that's where it'll come down in the end, and I think that's what he's saying here. So I hope that helps. If you want to learn more, again, leave a comment down below if you've got a specific question, and I will do my best at either answering it in that comment below the comment, or again, if there's enough people asking the same questions, I'll address it in a video. There's also a link below that you can click on to hear more about an opportunity to educate yourself, learn more, and build your Bitcoin portfolio. So click on the link below, and please, again, don't forget to like, make a comment, and subscribe to the station. Thank you.